Good afternoon, everyone, at Bawdsey and Orford schools. And of course, a special hello also from Benedict Bear and from my dog Reggie, who you'll see at the end of this video. He's sitting at my feet at the moment, being very quiet and calm. So let's put Benedict back. I know that your school value this term is trust. So I'm going to read to you a Bible story about trust. And the story is from the Lion Storyteller Bible, and it's about Noah and the flood. As you listen to the story, think about how difficult it must have been for Noah to trust in God's very strange instruction to him. So this is the story, and it's called A Special Promise. God was sad, very sad. Everywhere he looked, he saw people making bad choices, hating each other, hurting each other, making a mess of his beautiful world. I need to start all over again, God decided. I need to make my world clean. And that's when he talked to Noah. Noah was not like the rest. He was a good man, and God knew it. So God told him to build a boat big enough to hold Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, their wives, a pair of every single animal in the world, and food enough to feed all of them for a long, long time. Noah's family were surprised when he told them what he was going to do. And Noah's neighbours thought it was very strange of him to want to build a boat so far from the sea. And it wasn't very easy chasing and catching and cleaning up after all those animals. But Noah was a good man. He trusted in God, and he did what God told him, even when it was hard. And at last, when they all tucked safely away in the boat, God shut the door. And then it started to rain. It rained for 40 days. It rained for 40 nights. It rained harder than Noah had ever seen before. It rained so hard that the streams and the rivers and even the seas burst their banks and shores and began to flood. Soon every sandy beach, every rocky path, every patch of muddy earth had disappeared beneath the water. And the boat began to rise up and float on the water. It floated above the houses. It floated above the trees, it floated above the hills, and then it floated above the mountains too. It floated for days and weeks and months. And then it stopped. And the boat stuck at the top of a very tall mountain. Noah opened the window of the boat to look out. The water was going down, but the world was far from dry. So he sent out a dove out of the window. And when the dove did not come back, Noah knew that it had found a dry place to build its nest. "Come out," God called finally. "Come out of the boat. The world is dry, the world is clean. And now you and your family and all the animals must have children and fill it full of life and happiness again." Hooray! Noah celebrated, and he thanked God for saving him. God was happy too, happy that Noah had trusted in him and that the world had been made new again. So God painted the world's first rainbow in the sky. to celebrate his fresh, clean new world, and to promise that he would never ever send a flood again. That's the end of our story. At the start of the story, we learn that Noah's family and his neighbours were surprised because God wanted him to build a huge boat inland and a long, long way from the sea. I bet Noah was a bit tempted to ignore this strange request, thinking it was a bit mad. But if Noah had ignored God's request and not trusted in God, all life on earth would have been swept away. But Noah decided to be brave and have courage and trust in God. But I bet when he was building the boat, he had to put up with all those people laughing at him and thinking he was mad. And he must have been tempted to give up. But he kept trusting in what God wanted him to do. Trust is important for us. We have to trust in what we know is right, even when our friends might try to persuade us to do something different, which we know is wrong. We have to learn to trust in our own judgment to do what is right and good. And at school, you have to trust your teachers when they tell you you can succeed in doing something that you are finding difficult, even if you are tempted to give up. You have to trust that your teachers know best and that you can do extraordinary things. And at the moment, when we feel so frightened by the COVID pandemic, we need to remember to trust in our families, in our teachers, and in our doctors and nurses, all those people who work so hard to keep us safe and well. We have to trust in them to look after us. So trust is very, very important. Now I'm going to say a prayer about trust, and if you want to make it your own, say Amen at the end. So we're going to put our hands together and close our eyes. Dear God, just as Noah trusted in your request and built the ark, however difficult it was for him to do, help us to trust others who want to help us, so we too can achieve great things. And may we always trust in you to help us to do what is right. Amen. So that marks the end of our assembly. And as I promised you, Reggie's here to say a special hello to you. Here he is. He's a bit cold because it's a bit chilly in church, so he's got his coat on. But he sends you all special towel wags and licks and hopes to see you all soon. Have a very special and peaceful weekend. God bless.